Hello, hello, hello to my party people out there in radio land. Welcome to this week's transmission. This week's topic is be yourself and change the world. So I don't know if I've talked about this before. I'm pretty sure I've written about it, but anyway, so really I want to talk about the beauty of indirect influence. So story time for the kids. So once upon a time, I was in a situation where I was trying to protect a person who was dealing with some hardship, self-inflicted, and it was a relative, right? So I had a vested interest in this. And basically, they were not making good decisions for themselves, and they were causing themselves a lot of heartache and pain, and that, of course, the effects of which trickled down and spilled over to other members of the family, right? So this wasn't just like a situation where they could self-destruct and it would be an individual type situation, right? Other people were negatively impacted by their actions, but they would not change, right? So interventions, other people came in and tried to get this person to, they directly tried to get the person to change, to see the big situation, right? The situation, the pattern that they had been playing out, right, repeatedly over the years, and not seeing the consequences of it, and then getting themselves in the same situation and then crying out for help, as a result from other people, right? So after having tried to directly help this person, we figured out that probably wasn't gonna be the case. So but the situation was so sticky to where we couldn't just let them fail either, like I said, because there are other people involved. So it was this real messy situation. So of course, the best course of action was to kind of just step back, right, and seeing that they were not being receptive to the advice. They were very receptive to the assistance, right, when they needed help, when they had created a fire for themselves, as I spoke about in a transmission long ago about people who create fires. But they were not receptive to, the advice that would help them, or the mentoring or coaching that would help them avoid those fires in the first place. So what I personally did was I chose to step back from the situation, right, and just leave it up to the universe, because ultimately that's the only thing you can do. It's not up to you to change anybody. But the caveat to that is that while stepping back, you have to lead by example, right? You have to be the person that you want, the person to be, or the world, right? You be yourself. So this doesn't mean manipulate, right? Act out the role that you want them to be, and then no, not on no manipulation type stuff. I'm talking about if you are telling somebody how to be virtuous, right? Rather than doing that, the best thing that you can do is be virtuous yourself, right? Instead of telling somebody how to be honest or be, a good person, just you show that. You show, like, this is what you value. This is what I am, right? I have to be honest. And then you will pick up on that anyway, whether consciously or subconsciously. So I realized that, right? Because I'm still learning too. And I literally completely forgot about the situation. Like, I just completely stepped away from it. There was no passive aggressive. There was no, I just completely was like, oh, well, I'm going to live my life, and then that's all I can do. And so in doing that and detaching from it and having no ulterior motives, no, desire even to change this person's ways anymore, because I believe that everything works out, how it's supposed to work out eventually, for the good or for bad, I realized that I was directly influencing the very person who was being the worst influence on the family member that I was trying to change, right? Without even realizing it. Without even realizing it. So by detaching from it, by saying, I'm not going to try to change you. I'm just going to be the best version of myself. I'm going to put all that energy that I was putting into trying to make your life better into just being the best version of myself, right? That person did not end up changing, but the person who was negatively influencing them ended up observing who I was and seeing why I was so adamant about trying to make this change in the relative. And then they started changing. Ain't that something? They started being more like the person that I was trying to get the relative to be. And so as a result, their actions, because again, I cannot stress this enough, the relative is heavily influenced by this person. They ended up changing the relative, right? So it all came full circle. I did not directly change the relative. I directly changed, I don't even know if it was directly or indirectly, because it wasn't a conscious effort, right? I guess it was a direct consequence, but it wasn't a conscious effort, right? It was an indirect effort. I was just being myself. I didn't realize that this person was keeping tabs on me and knew really what was going on, and that abreast of what was going on in my life. And as a result, they were inspired by my light, and then they shed that light onto the very relative that I was trying to change and influence. So that's crazy how that works. So the moral of this story is just that when you be yourself, and by being yourself, only by being yourself, can you change the world. And I mean that in a literal sense. Everybody says, oh, just be who you are and the world will change. And they make it seem so esoteric, so intangible, like something out there, like, yeah, at some point, But no, it can happen fast, and it can happen directly in your life, right? In a visible sense. And it can happen in a more magical way than you could have ever imagined, right? So you can change the world by simply being yourself. You can change your immediate environment by simply being yourself, because in doing so, you inspire other people to be themselves, or to even take the look, to even ask a question, to even examine, who am I, right? Maybe I'm more like that person than I ever realized, right? Maybe I'm less like, what I am now than I thought. So even if you get the ball rolling, the questions start to come up, then the examination period, the reflection period of their life purpose and of who they are meant to be in this world, and honestly who they are at their core, right? All of that happens when you are observed being yourself, no matter what that is, because there's a light that shines around people who are their genuine self, right? We call them real. They genuine, they 100, like, right? It's not something that you can really pinpoint. All you know is they are who they are, right? No matter how much money they have, no matter what they wearing, like, you respect the fact that they just are giving you only what they are and nothing more. So that's all I got to say. I hope this helps somebody. Have a good week. Love, live, light, laughter. Bye.